Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 224, and today we're doing battle in the Gauntlet. And so, the world's qualifiers are done. Those are in the books. We're going to be today playing what I have deemed to be the best lineup coming out of the world's qualifiers. We'll take it into the Gauntlet and see how we do with it. But like I like to say, if you haven't had a chance to watch any of the world's stuff, you should head over to Twitch or see if you can find it up on YouTube. Give it a watch, even if you don't care about watching it, turn it on and turn your speakers off or something. It's nice to get those kind of view counts up. And so if people don't make an effort, then no one else has the incentive to do so. And so if you want to see these competitive events running around, you should at least put forth the bare minimum effort. Give those events a few views across the land so that other people can kind of see those things move up in the world, and so that Riot can see that people do care. And so with that out of the way, I wanted to give kind of another shout out here. If you're not familiar with Saint-Tropez, I don't know how exactly he pronounces his name. I'm sure we butchered it. I do apologize a bit for that, but he does a very fantastic job of following around in the tournament scene, posting a lot of the deck lists and results. And so he's gone through, and this is where I was at least sourcing the results coming through. You can scroll through his Twitter. I don't have a replacement for Twitter just yet. I'm kind of waiting on people to decide where they'd like to move. Hopefully they do move away from Twitter, but that's just kind of where we're stuck at the moment. But yeah, he posts a lot of links to all of the tournament results across the world, but then specifically a lot of things in the Americas region. And then a big useful bonus that he also does is if you follow him on runeterra.ar, he posts the deck lists of what everyone has played. I saw a few people on Twitter posting just the deck lists on the whole, like just on a broad strokes, X number of people played deck Y, but this guy typically goes through and posts literally every single deck list from every event that he can find, and it's a very, very useful tool for those of you wanting to advance your tournament game. And so, in terms of the lineup that we're bringing, this is one, there's always a dude in the APAC region that just plays the Powder Pandemonium deck in every event. And I was a bit surprised. I saw in the World's Qualifiers, I believe that in APAC there were 9 this time. Not 9 people, 9 Powder Pandemonium decks. And so his influence is kind of squeaking out. We've done this before. I like the idea and the thought on a few different levels, and that it's a deck that people don't really gun for, right? It's not a deck that really hangs out at the top of the meta, but it has such a weird play pattern to it that it's very tough for it to get kind of like caught in the crosshairs of what the decks are doing these days. And so if you caught our previous Gauntlet video, I thought one of the kind of interesting points in the current meta is that the decks are very focused on tall units or things that are just, making one big hyper strong unit, whether or not that is Victor out of the Seraphine decks, or even those decks playing something like Pursuit of Perfection, the various Vayne decks, and even to a lesser degree, the decks like Elusives trying to make a big 5/5 Jinx with the Scout, or make a 5/5 Teemo with Scout or whatever. Those are all very tall single unit kind of strategies, and that just does not play out well into the face of Powder Pandemonium. And so I think it's a pretty interesting lineup on a few different levels. That's what we're going to be doing battle with today, and we'll touch on these deck lists each a little bit individually. And so he brought the Teemo Jinx version. This is just a little bit more burn heavy. This one's going to have Get Excited thrown in the mix and Mystic Shot thrown into the mix, and so it has a handful of ways to just go full burn deck on your opponent, as opposed to where the other decks need to focus a little bit more on the plunders. And so our Teemo Jinx version, again, a little bit more burn heavy, not so much trying to go for the 4/4 monkeys and using those to close out the games. Up next is the Norra Twisted Fate version. This is, again, a little bit more control decky, and this one he does now move on to playing the Inventive Chemist, since the additional units can oh, no, he doesn't apply to Norra. That's just a straight falsehood. But the Norra does tie in with some of the summoned units. Typically, if you play the Powder Pandemonium, you've just won the game anyways. But with the access to Norra, summoning things like Monkey Business and then the monkeys from Powder Pandemonium, the tentacle from the Eye of Nagakoboros, you have a handful of ways to activate the Norra. But again, you're typically playing towards just the the Plunder style. And then last but not least is the Elise version, and this one is the only one bringing the Yordle Grifter. And so this is a pretty heavy Bilgewater version of the deck, and doesn't have those same burn aspects to it, but it does potentially have the biggest card draw elements, as it does have the Glimpse from Beyonds to draw a handful of cards, and then with all of the card draw out of your opponent's deck, you can go a little bit slower, a little bit more grindy. And so, a little bit of differences across the board, but at their core, at their heart, all looking to do plunder things and then power up those Plunder Pandemoniums. And so we've got the deck ready. I know we need to go and pay the pay-to-win price, and it's a good one today. I was surprised I haven't done this before. I know I've brought the Powder Pandemonium lineup like 3 or 4 times to some of these videos, and we haven't actually leveled up the Powder Pandemonium. And so today is the day. We're ready for it. It's going to be premium across all of the decks. Good to go. So where are we at? How do we get back here to the old play zone? Jump on in. So good stuff. Yeah, this guy didn't. I don't think any of the Powder Pandemonium decks managed to qualify for Worlds, but I think it's still a kind of an interesting concept, and a lot of that can kind of tie into what do we got here? Just Annie Jen, what I assume is going right to left. Annie Jen is the one on the right. This middle one, no champion, I assume is some kind of burn deck. And then to the left, we have Hecarim Lucian. I don't really want to play against Hecarim here. We don't have a way to deal with Hecarim. He's a little bit too big for us. We don't even have a great way to block a lot of the opposing units. And so I don't think we want to deal with the ephemerals here. Typically, the Powder Pandemonium decks have had pretty good matchups against Pirates, so I think we should be okay here in the middle against the what I assume is a Pirates deck, and then we'll see if we can't take down Annie Jen as well. But I'm going to lead off with the Twisted Fate deck. Give ourselves a little bit of an AoE edge if we get to go up against what I assume is Pirates coming out of the middle. And pretty reasonable start. I don't like hanging on to Powder Pandemonium. It's not going to do that much here. We don't have any plunder elements to start in our hand, but I'm pretty happy starting with a 1-drop, a 2-cost unit that comes out and makes additional units, and then also the Make It Rain for some of that AoE kind of aspect. I think, again, assuming that this guy's playing Pirates just with no champions in it, we should be pretty well set up for that. Could definitely see an argument for not attacking with the Advent of Chemist since we have Make It Rain in our hand, but I think if we can just kind of like wear him down a little bit, we're going to be completely fine. So he has a Warden, we have a Warden. Again, could have looked to have done the Make It Rain, but I think we can get out of this on our own. It's like we really want to be hitting some of these plunders, and if we're not hitting the plunders, then a lot of our cards just don't do anything. And so I think this is okay. Now it's just a singular Make It Rain, but we get the plunder into the Jagged Butcher. Can't imagine we're like really scared of a lot of the cards coming out of the deck. If he just continues to curve out with smaller units, we can handle this just fine. All right, so you all looking for the control decky card advantage-y kind of plays. I think this should probably be our turn to do it. Reaver's Row coming in. Didn't expect that, but the red card here is going to be quite good. Most of the time with Reaver's Row these days, you see it out here with Talia. But not bad. We're going to have a pretty gigantic open attack this turn. And I think we're pretty well set up for when this pops off. Just if you're only getting a Reaver's Row onto like 2 or 3 units, it's not that big of a deal. You really need to be hitting the whole board for it to pop off. Okay. The Hapless Aristocrat was a pretty good hit, though. Gives him a blocker that can then tie into the Reaver's Row on the next turn, but I still think we're pretty good here. Ooh, a second Reaver's Row is a little bit scarier. A little bit scarier. Ooh, the Enraged Yeti. We're in like a kind of surprise good spot here in that we can burst out the Eye of Nagakaboros. You shouldn't really expect that to be coming at you. And then if we if he played it a little bit slower, we could have gotten the Enraged Yeti down. But getting 2 blocks onto this board is pretty good, especially when he's going to be losing a unit on the turn. So we want to just let him keep the Star Shepherd, take 7? I think that's fine. If we can get just a little bit wider than him, we can close this game down. We can't count on the Powder Pandemoniums at this point because it just haven't hit any plunders. Just need to get in for a little bit of damage, right? We're pretty close with the 2 warning shots in hand. The monkey business is going to represent a couple more points of damage, and we played the Inventive Chemist a little slow, but maybe, oh my gosh, that's so much stuff. Way more than I was expecting to come in. Can we survive this next turn? Because our attacks here are just not very good. It's like Norra can't even attack this prowling cutthroat. So we have 2 blockers for the next turn. We're currently looking at like 11 damage. That doesn't sound very good. I think we just have to be on the burn plan though. So I'm going to warning shot. I'm going to add in both monkey businesses. And then if we can survive next turn, we'll have the Powder Pandemonium to hopefully finish this off with the burn plan. So close to flipping Steve as well. If we could just get a little bit of card draw. All right, well, let's see where that gets us. The Norra will flip next turn. She still can't really do any blocking, but it's a little bit closer to relevance. You're gonna Portal Palooza through it, huh? Maybe. Alright, nothing else can block. So we have to worry about stuff like Decimates coming at us here. Any kind of burn spell could potentially end us, but other than that, hopefully okay.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it lasts.
Looks like I'm on a hot streak.
Alright, do we get to survive into the next turn? Apparently so. Go us. That one is a little closer than I was expecting. I was getting a little bit bamboozled there in terms of how the Reaver's Rows were sequencing, but managed to take it down. Now we'll know a little bit better what we're getting ourselves into as we jump in with the Jinx deck. Because again, it seemed kind of odd. It's just like a no champion deck in the space that. Like, there's still good champions you can play at those price points, right? Like, if you want to play Reaver's Row, why don't you play something like Annie? Like, I see that he has the Annie Gen deck here to the left, or to the right, but it just seems like kind of a space to where you could probably fit a champion in. Like, you at a minimum could play, like, Fizz. Is Fizz not better than something like Thrashing Snapper? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a master of the deck by any means, but just strikes me as something that you could kind of do there. But now that I know what I'm getting into, I think we definitely played that game a little bit too aggressively. We probably should have looked to do a little bit more card advantage-y stuff on those early game plays. But just, I guess realistically, we should just be looking to do anything we can to keep his units off of the board. Interesting in Parlay, we should be able to to add that a little bit down the line. I want to get these Teemo hits in now so that we can activate the Taskmaster. He's going to be what I think to be kind of the key thing here. And that, the previous problem was we just didn't have enough ways to block his fearsomes. But now if we say drop the plundered Taskmaster here, next turn we parlay one of these 1 health units, use that to summon a monkey business, and then use the monkey business as our plunder outlet for the follow-up turns. I think we're in kind of a good space.
I never miss.
All right, so we'll get the big attacker off of the board. More than happy to come in and trade for the precious pet. We tend to have space issues with our board anyways. Take our plunder while we have it. All right, seems better, seems legit, seems fun. That +1 attack on all of our units lets them battle with these jagged butchers pretty well. Ooh. Double Mirai Warden. It's like he's trying to do the same stuff we're doing. He spiked a blocker for Teemo. That's okay. Do we even want to bother with trading? Like, we probably need to. He's going to be dropping, like, well, I don't know. The Reaver's Row is pretty far away, but I think that seems okay. Teemo is not going to do anything else this game. We have 2 plunders at this point. All the acorns. All right. Yeah, but outside of the acorn, his attacks look terrible now. I think this is good. He's got to bring it in, right? You can't just be not attacking with this deck.
Not today. My life or theirs.
All right, pretty nice clear. Set up pretty well for this Make It Rain and the Parlay. I think we're good.
Oh, I've never met anyone like you.
All right, so we'll start with the Make It Rain. Ideally, we'll just clear out as many units as we can. We want to do it first, right? We don't want to hit the Hound. We don't really want to hit Face. We just want to take down as many of these units as we can. Kill the Jagged Butcher here. Then we should just be in a pretty choice spot now. If he wants to open attack next turn, we'll have the Eye of Nagakaboros as a blocker. And then we should just be able to kind of card advantage him out of the game from this point forward. Both Make It Rain and Warning Shot.
Came a long way for a bullet. Gotcha in my
All right, let's just go ahead and block just in case. We'll drop the Make It Rain. Maybe one of our units will survive. If something survives, great. If it doesn't, not the end of the world. Now we're pretty well set up the rest of the way here.
My selection speaks for itself. Goes to a good cause.
the sea beasts will bear us.
We're at 3, right? 3 plunders. Just get him. GG. All right. Good stuff, monkeys. I knew you could do it. The best worlds lineup coming at you. We couldn't expect it to fail in round 1, right? Right. All right, so now we got Ezreal Seraphine, Braum Ionia, don't know what that's going to be, and then Poppy Galio. I'm just going to come in and take the Poppy Galio deck out of the way. These kind of go tall numbers tend to be a problem, but What's actually going to be coming at us with this Braum? Like, if we're looking to play towards Powder Pandemoniums, then Deny can be a real issue. Maybe that's the one we just look to take out. I don't think we ever want to ban out Seraphine, though. I think that that's going to be a reasonably safe matchup. It's just against things like the Galio deck, you don't get a lot of opportunities for the chip damage to come in because their units tend to just be all bigger than yours. But I think I'm going to just be a little bit more worried about that Deny. Alright, not particularly interested in any of this. I'm not wanting to start off with Twisted Fate. We're looking for our early game plays. We want to get like a bit of aggression in here, and then ideally starting with something like Norra would be good as well. But much more reasonable start here with the Chemist and the Taskmaster, getting some early aggression, the warning shot to pop off with the Taskmaster to make sure we get a plunder. That all sounds good to me. The downside against Ezreal Seraphine here is they tend to play like a lot of removal that's decent against what we're doing, right? If you're looking to, say, play like 4/4s and 5/5s against them, they don't interact too well with that kind of removal, right? If they're dealing with Mystic Shots and High Notes and Blade's Edges and the like, that's all stuff that just kind of incidentally kills all of our dudes. And so, a bit of downside there. Yeah, we can hit the plunder off the Jagged Butcher here in a little bit, right? I don't need to be rushing him out. We could have looked to, say, rushed him out on the first turn and then gotten an open attack here, but this just does so much more damage, assuming everything goes right. Like, if he adds in Seraphine here, we still get in for the 3 damage. We get some health removal on her, and then potentially clean up with Make It Rain. But there's also just a good chance, like, what if his play here is Mystic Shot? It still feels like this is good in the face of it. Do we need to attack here? I don't like it. I think we can probably wait a turn. We're still going to be like going for the Jagged Butcher Make It Rain this turn, but we end up just trading the Make It Rain for the Apprentice instead of our unit, and now that he's played Seraphine, the rest of our units should represent trades into her. Wow. Well, that's cute. Seraphine just generating Pale Cascades to survive out of a Make It Rain. That's a way to do it. This game's dumb. All right. You can't even make that shit up. So you start off and say, all right, what's the baseline stats a unit should have that's able to come down for 2 mana and generate a card? History has shown us 3 as they nerfed everything down. They nerfed everything down to 3 stats for 2 mana on a card that generates something. Why not have it just have 5 stats, though, because it's a champion? Sure, I gotcha. What's all this additional upside that she has to where she gets to flip and do stuff? Oh, very well designed. I have high hopes that as Seraphine was widespread throughout the course of Worlds, that she'll just catch another nerf. It's been absurd. It just blows my mind that someone was able to be like, oh yeah, we've gone through this before, right? We've had our Boom Baboons, we've had our Conchologists, we've had Reggie, we've had all of these 2-cost cards that come down and generate something. We had to nerf all of them down to 3 stats. Now let's try something new. Seraphine. Wow. I don't know, man. Maybe the intern took the day off and didn't get to run the news up the flagpole. Insane. All right, but I feel decent enough playing red cards here. If he wants to play the removal spell onto Twisted Fate, that's fine. If he has a High Note, this game's, well, High Note's not gonna do 2. She hasn't played enough spells, but I think it's okay here. The red card does put us in a space to where if Seraphine wants to block Twisted Fate, he'll still win the combat.
I am wearing my goggles.
Interesting. Really surprised to see her stay on the board. She's not, like, what better are you going to get out of Seraphine at this point, right? You're not going to flip her for like 6 turns, 7 turns, 8 turns. And so it seems like you would want her to just come in and prevent the damage, get the trade out of the way, but opponent's got big plans. He's certainly thinking on those plans hard. Thinking on them hard. That makes sense as well. You get to play your random card generation thing directly into Reggie. Now, I've brought this concept up before. This is an advanced level concept. I'm still not sure what the correct answer to this concept is. But if you are out here just like monumentally and absolutely crushing through your opponents with the highest of high rolls, is that the day that you should go out and purchase lottery tickets just because it's probably the luckiest day of your life? Or do you think that you should just say, like, give up on it? You say, like, bust, I'm not even leaving the house today. I already spent so much luck. I'm ultimately pretty worried that if I go to cross the street, I'll just get hit by a semi. Like, I know I live in a residential area, but I spent so much luck, I might get hit by a boat today. I don't know, man. It could be a boat. So, it's tough. I'm curious what RU440's thought on the matter is, as he is the current high roll master of the day. Should he just, call it quits, just go to bed? Maybe ask his mom to watch over him in his sleep just in case the demons come out or something? Or should he just head, straight to the liquor store, purchase up a lottery ticket, see if he can spike the big one, hit the Powerball, the Mega Millions, whatever's rolling today. You gotta hit that drawing. All right, though. He had some removal spells, sure. He didn't prevent us from hitting plunders, so we still have a bit of opportunity here. Awesome hitting Death Ray. That's the one I was hoping I would hit. Said no one ever. Really looking to just spike some burn spells, right? We're getting pretty close to a kill with the Powder Pandemonium. Didn't quite hit it, but we should be able to get a full board coming up here. Oh my god. Serious? This... Okay. Okay, I guess. What a joke. So coming out, like, I'm leaning towards I just want to be dropping red cards here, right? We can take the damage out of this Plaza Guardian. That's not that big of a deal. If we've got 1 from Steve and 4 from the Powder Pandemoniums, we have a reasonable chance to still win this game. And so I think we can take the 6 from the Plaza Guardian. I'm still going to lead off with this Eager Apprentice. So we have a blocker on board. But I don't think we need to be gold carding any of this stuff. He shouldn't be able to kill us next turn. It's like his Ezreal's nowhere near flipping. So I think that's okay. I think the question here is, do we want to blue card instead of red card, right? If we have 4 in hand, we might need to pick up like, I think we want a blue card here.
Never lost a fair game or played one.
And the monkey business. So we can block 1 now, right? We can actually block both. If we're going to... Oh, we haven't done damage to the face this turn, though. So the monkey business will be a little bit short. We're not going to have a plunder. We safely fall to 8, though. Oh my god, take longer, dude. This is big decision right here. Do I attack with the Plaza Guardians or not? But, it's getting close. I think we need the width. He should have a tough time burning us down from 8. right, let's see how it goes. He may have disconnected on us, but this is where I think we would be in a pretty decent spot, right? We've got the bonus onto the dudes from the Taskmaster, even if, say, he has 2 removal spells in hand, so he gets to kill 2 monkeys, block 2 with the Plaza Guardians. That would still represent a lethal, right? We're coming in for 4 damage with our Steve and our Apprentice, and then punching in for 4 plunder or 4 last breaths to get the extra damage in. So I think we're okay. Even if he hadn't disconnected or whatnot, I think it would have been pretty tough for him to lethal here.
Did that sound right? Excuse me?
Actually, let's just hook these in with monkeys.
Did that sound right?
Just in case we need to hang on to these eager apprentices and have some blockers for the next turn. Again, think he's gone. Oh, he's back. Rummaging some stuff. And I think our angle here is still good, right? If he has removals for these 2 powder monkeys, he's looking to take 2 from Steve, 2 from the eager apprentice, and then that's still enough to get him to lethal. All right, victory for the monkeys. Can't wait to play this deck again. But I mean, it has to at least feel good, right? If you're playing this matchup, I don't think I'm making crazy talk. I don't think I'm making crazy speak when I say that opponent rolled pretty high on the RNG that game, and we still took it down pretty handily. Makes me feel a little bit better moving into the next set of games. I don't think I'm wrong there. I don't think I'm wrong. It's not a hyperbole-ish statement that opponent rolled pretty high. What's his clock at? Oh, resets. God, I hate this game so much. This. Okay. There we are. Definitely excited to just go ahead and level up the Taskmaster. We got a lot of dudes ready to come to action with it. It kind of sets up the sequence to where next turn we can either Mirai Warden and bank the 2 for the Make It Rain, then Make It Rain the follow-up turn when we want a monkey business, or we have a lot of options here in terms of what this hand brings. And I just like leading off with the Taskmaster, especially as we run into a spot like this where he just drops Reggie. Reggie's not that great, but say to drop, say, Seraphine, we can still technically attack into Seraphine with the Taskmaster and have a pretty good spot for our dudes.
Buckle up.
Coming at us, Reg. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hello, new best friend.
All right, more dudes ready for battle. Easy coming in. I guess that would be a reasonable reason as to why one would want to get our elusive unit off of the board, but not too worried about him. The Make It Rain, quite strong here. Lets us get the plunder for our powder monkey, but then it also, if Ezreal wants to block any of these smaller units, he now dies in combat, which probably needs to. He's nowhere near ready to flip, right? And if you're wanting to be on this game plan of attacking with Ezreal to hit Mystic shots to try and peel off just a small portion of our team, fine. You know, that's a-okay with me. You are not in a position to be playing a value game here. You're pretty close to that lethal. The thing I wish I had a little bit more experience with this deck for in this kind of spot is I'm curious if we should be throwing Jinx down on the board, right? As we've got our opponent down to 5, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be dropping Jinx here, but it's like we have a lot of surprise power in this next turn. In our ability to play Eye of Nagakaboros to have it boost the Astute Academic, and then sure. Have a fully wide board. And so I think she can come down. The flip side to that is our opponent is dead to Death Rockets, right? If we get a Death Rocket for the 4 damage with the Warning Shot for 1, then that game is done. We don't even need the Warning Shot with the Powder Monkey, but I think this is good. Oh, we pick up the flip card, or the card for the flip, but we can't cast it this turn. Oh, that's so good. Just got the burn lethal in hand. Well, we say that. Who knows what kind of bullshit this deck's gonna pull out? Who knows?
No sweat.
Sing with me.
Alright, he does some rummaging. What are these other ones? Mystic shots and mystic shots. Sure. Alright, GG, my dude. We made it. We made it through the Ezreal Seraphine monstrosity. Carry on to the next round. Good stuff. Good job, Jinx. Alright, next battle. So what do we got? Some Talia Ziggs. We got the Gangplank Sejuani mirror match of sorts, and then we have the Celesbians, if you will, the Leona and Diana. And I think out of these, the one that kind of like strikes me as the worst, it's not going to be the Diana deck. It's we can throw down like a bunch of blockers in front of this stuff and really like tie in a long time against it. I'm not worried about it. It's the big overwhelm prowess that you get from both Talia Ziggs and the Gangplank deck. I think we'll just take the Gangplank deck out. That has historically been a problem here, just in that it can play a similar game, but the overwhelm units that they have just tend to get in a lot more chip damage. And just a tough strategy for us to beat, given what they're, trying to do. So with this, we can hang on to 1 Make It Rain. There are a fair number of 1 health units in this deck I'd like to take down on the first turn, or in the first couple of turns. Otherwise, mulligan and look for some of this cheaper stuff, our Norras of the world, our Mirai Wardens and the like. Reasonable enough start. Got our warning shot into Taskmaster. And we'll see if we end up playing it a little slow. If he drops a Rock Hopper, since we have the Make It Rain in hand, I'm going to want to wait a turn. The Make It Rain is fine since we have these monkey businesses to start getting the plunders with. Do we want to put the block in? So if he has an Absolver here, right? Or if he has a Shaped Stone, I think I'm happy to go ahead and take the card and get the trade. Yeah. Monkey business in. Alright, so then we do have a lot of potential for burst on this upcoming turn. We can play out the entirety of our hand, but we don't have much to do after this, and so we need some of this stuff to kind of go right on this turn so that we can not just be kind of dead in the water here. Now, we do have a fair amount of card draw out here playing this Twisted Fate version, and so picking up an Eye of Nagakaboros would be quite good. We have a lot of decent options that we can find here, but I'm a little worried about... after we make this attack, he trades for our Inventive Chemist, and then our only play left is our other Inventive Chemist in hand, and so definitely need just like a little bit of something to do. A Taskmaster.
Would you look at this place?
Non-flammable? Is that a challenge?
All right, well, we're pretty close, right? we're almost there in terms of damage. A Powder Pandemonium would end the game. Eye of Nagakaboros would be quite good. We have lots of decent options here. It's gotta survive the round. Let's wait on the Taskmaster. We might find a way to get a plunder with him. I don't suspect he's gonna do that much, but wanted to wait and give him a shot. Now, I think it's okay to just play him. I don't think the attack power is gonna matter, but we're gonna need like blockers at some point here, and so let's go ahead and just get him on the board. See if we can't prevent a little bit damage next turn. We get the spiked hit off of that. That's the painful one. Are we just dead if we drop the Black Market Merchant? He gets to... he hits it with Ziggs. Ziggs hits for 8. I think we're okay. Gotta find something out of this, though. Reservarium's close. Is this game gonna come down to whether or not the Make It Rain spikes the Rockhopper? Well, that's definitely a problem now. He's got the lethal on board, and we can't do anything about it. Just a touch too slow, Mirai Warden.
Gonna catch the sky.
Dang. And we even hit the Rockhopper. Too bad. But see, this is exactly what I was worried about, right? This game would have been okay if he didn't hit the Herald of the Magus, which is, you know, it's a pretty reasonable spot to find ourselves in. Maybe we could have assumed our opponent had something like the Herald, since on the first turn, or that second, third turn, whatever, they wasted their Absolver to save a unit. And you typically can't just give up your Overwhelms like that, right? If you just throw away your Overwhelms, then your Talia and your Ziggs don't actually deal enough damage. So we could have probably kind of read into it that he actually had one, but that deck's strategy is, again, quite tough against what we're doing. Since they have that Overwhelm. But without the Overwhelm, it doesn't do enough. So it's tough. All right, well, let's get our start here. No turn 1 Nightfall thing, so we didn't have the parlay targets. That's okay. Let's lead out with the Mirai Warden. We're never going to be blocking here, but we could potentially... we got boomed there, didn't we? We could potentially come out of here okay. This is much more Nightfall stuff than I was expecting. This doesn't seem like the Diana deck I was quite expecting it to be.
Joy is a good look in a book and a cat in a lap.
All right, coming at us with another Nightfall. Doom Beast. Got it. Yeah, much more aggressive than I was expecting. I was expecting the Diana thing. It's typically much more daybreaky, like a Ravoon style deck. We're definitely out here playing against a Nightfall based deck. I think that might lend itself to our favor, though. I think we can handle this deck reasonably. Especially if we're gonna start spiking fearsome blockers right off the top of our deck. Okay, same deal as the game before. If he has the Pale Cascade and wants to spend it on the Doom Beast to protect it from the Make It Rain, fine. We need to just come in and protect from that damage a little bit.
The strong don't want mercy.
More Doom Beasts. Okay. Alright, let's take another big open attack here. Our Norra getting pretty close to flipping. Get that, the enraged Yeti coming in. That's the way you're meant to activate your Norras. Just use a little bit of enraged Yeti.
Try to leave a dent.
Okay, quite good, quite good. Get his width kind of cleared out. A little bit of damage onto Leona. He can't make any big open attacks on us. This looks good and strong.
I am the bulwark against darkness.
Does she get barrier on her level up? No. So it's like he's probably going to take the Norra down out of this combat. I think that's okay. He's not getting any more stuns this turn, so he's going to have to play something else. Let's just go ahead and make it rain. If we get to add in a monkey business this turn, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Stand and fight.
Okay.
The sea beasts will fear us.
Alright, then we can pull off a lot of monkey business on this upcoming turn if we want. The Powder Pandemonium generating 3. I think that's where we want to be. Big old chunks of damage coming in here now.
Ours is the one true light.
Brings a stun onto the Enraged Yeti, which is okay. Do we ever want to, like, replace it with Norra? I think that's a pretty reasonable question. Probably too far away from lethal to try and pull things off like that.
I'll cut 'em up myself.
No mercy for heretics.
Sure.
Curses.
Little wounds are just as good as big ones.
Night flowers.
Is this the one he generated off the Unspeakable Horror, the Crescent Guardian? Yes, it is. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we're a little bit short on the action here, but he shouldn't be able to kill us this turn.
Our sacred ways.
There's the stun onto the Enraged Yeti. Can add in a Taskmaster now. We'll wait until after combat to add Norra, but
The weak don't deserve mercy. Answer to me.
it's a little scarier than I want to give it credit for.
It's our time.
Ain't you a looker?
Okay. Down to 3. Yeah, we're gonna have to draw a good one here.
Portals, up and down and all
It's weird. It seems like this one got away from us. It seemed like we were in a much better spot than this board led us credence to, but I guess the taking like multiple barrier hits out of this Leona has just been pretty devastating.
I still see fate here for you.
That's interesting. Hitting the Hyara Allseer. We have a couple of options with this now. We can go Overwhelm onto something. Like it's tough at this space to like want to assume whether or not he has a Daybreak, right? We can choose to be pretty all in at this space if we want to say stance swap Overwhelm onto the Enraged Yeti. Then he comes in for 5 into the Guardian. And that's probably just too greedy. I'm going to put the Overwhelm onto the All-Seer. Then we'll see. We still, like, if he has a Daybreak, we still at least get a decent attack with either the Yeti. And if he doesn't have the Daybreak, his board just isn't nearly as good.
Off we go.
So he only has one good block this round, right? With the Winding Light.
You cannot hold us down.
Photos everywhere.
Don't ask where it's from, ask how much.
What you got? A blocker? Can wait till next turn to Daybreak this thing. Do that. Everybody's right on top.
Protect our people. Behold the sun's holy light.
Yeah, I got a Sun Guardian too, bro. And the Winding Light? Are you serious? Okay. Guess our RNG just wasn't good enough. That was tough. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if we truly mastered this deck, that felt like a game that we most certainly could have won.
Turn to a right way.
But I think it was going reasonably well. The turn of choice would have been that the turn that we played the Powder Pandemonium and had it fail. Well, it didn't really fail. It cleared out most of his board. It didn't get the lethal, but that's brutal. And then that space again. The spots that really kind of break this deck are your opponent's ability to hit you with Overwhelm. That's why the Talia Ziggs deck was particularly scary. It's just I don't know. Those matchups felt like just that spot to where your opponent just picked up the cards that they needed to. I think we're still right on with our strategy here. We ran into the same guy. We're going to ban out the Overwhelms deck and then see if we can't have our matchups go a little bit better. But again, like if you're going to say like, okay, the way that these decks are going to beat me are with their Overwhelms, this Talia Ziggs typically plays like 2 copies of the Absolver and then like 1 copy of that Elusive or the Overwhelm to your champion's unit thing. And it doesn't feel like stuff that we have to worry about a ton. I don't know. It just feels like we got high rolled out of here.
Non-flammable? Is that a challenge? I am wearing my
All right, reasonable enough start. Nice collection of early game bros. We got the Make It Rain again. If we need to try and take down a Rockhopper,
If it's meant
all
to
seems
be,
decent to me.
I can write it.
Nice to meet you. I'm Isla.
All right, Mirai Warden, you're in. We're gonna look to preemptively make it rain. I think it's okay if he wants to pick up the unit off of the Endless Devout. He's gonna trade the Endless Devout for our Jagged Butcher. That's okay, and then we get to chunk in for 6. He should be a turn away from like. I think if he wants to be on this game plan of getting the Sarcophagus and copying it with Talia, it's just gonna be way too slow. All right, nice pickup with the eye.
History is whatever.
And just making a dude we don't care about. Sounds good.
There's a rock, dude. Home is just around the portal.
Guess we do care about these dudes a little bit. they have a little bit of stats. All right, can't block the Devout. That's okay. And I don't think we have to worry about a quicksand. This deck typically doesn't play quicksand. It might be in this day and age, given that there's so much of the Zoe Elusives deck running around. But I assume that you just look at the Zoe Elusives deck and say it's something that you just automatically lose to. But not automatically losing today. All right. Getting fairly close to burning them out, though. We'll have the monkey business for now. We have the Make It Rain in hand. Make It Rain, of course, should be pretty decent on this board. I could see an argument for playing it here, right? If the opponent's going to come into the next turn and then have a combat trick, the Make It Rain may not be enough to kill through the unit, but I think this is still safe. Just bringing out a bunch of Cycle. And a Ziggs. So the Ziggs taps him out.
Another day, another explosion!
Wow. That's certainly a thing. What a joke. All right.
My life or theirs.
I mean, can we ever get out of this with, like... we have the Pokey Stick in hand and the Inventive Chemist, which is going to be too slow. We have a few ways to actually just, like, come in and prevent damage here. I guess the thing that we have to start to worry about is if we do have to add some of these units to the board. And if we're adding units to the board, Ziggs is going to be doing damage to our face whenever he gets the blow-up thing happening. So... All right.
Don't ask where it's from, ask how much. Goes to a good cause.
Another Inventive Chemist. Well, you're free, I guess.
Never tried this chemical.
Gives us a little bit of opportunity to try and come in with some width. Like if he just wants to play a 5-cost unit here or something, we have the chance to get past it.
I seem to have misplaced my, self.
Bombs away!
All right, so can we get away with attacking here? Right, we can throw down the eye attack. We'll get in for 2. That just seems way too dangerous. We're just going to have to play it slow. Hope that he doesn't have an overwhelm. All right, well, if we can survive this turn, we might be okay. The powder pandemonium coming in. Of course. Of course. Why would I expect anything different? Why not? Okay. All right, on to the next one. Just an absolutely brutal set of games. Like, this is, if you, like, want to swing back to the way that we used to look at Talia Ziggs, as we took, like, the really predict-heavy approach, because it was so important to be hitting the right spells at the right time. And so we were looking to play things like Ancient Preparations to really help to make sure that we could pick up our Absolvers when we needed to, pick up the Arsenal when we needed to, pick up Talia when you needed to. And that's why that matchup just ultimately feels so super frustrating to me. I mean, you don't have to do shit like that if you're just going to high roll every time, right? If you're just going to roll perfect every single game, then it just doesn't matter, right? You can just play 1 drop, 1 2 drop, and then just hit perfect the entirety of your life. Fucking absurd. Alright, let's see if we can try anything else here.
Treasures of the ages for
I think the merchants are safe. It should give us like a pretty reasonable way to just kind of come in and get on board. The majority of this opposing deck should be pretty cheap, and so I think we'll pick up a lot of cards that we have the potential to play. And then our hand is pretty awkward with the 2 Powder Pandemoniums in it. And it's kind of really limited in what it can do. You got Diana. You shouldn't be able to Nightfall any further. We're going to lose our Black Market Merchant, but the Twilight Protector should be enough to shut his down. All right, and we'll put our Norra at risk. She's going to potentially just die to Diana next turn. I think that's okay. We really need to be getting this this plunder hit in, right? We just don't have the stuff to do anymore. Here, I'm going to play one Taskmaster and one Black Market Merchant. We're really close to just being in the space to where we cast a bunch of Powder Pandemoniums. And so we definitely want them to have the bonus attack here. All right, Leona coming in with the stuns. Let's just go ahead and draw a card. If we pick up a Make It Rain or a Warning Shot or something, they're all going to be quite good here.
Cloaked in silver light, unwavering strength. I cannot turn back. I will be heard.
Okay. So hopefully still okay. Like, we can take the big bank on this turn. We'll have a reasonable Powder Pandemonium on this upcoming turn, and then we can use that as a means to try and get plunders for all these other cards. So we can lead with the Chemist. That's safe. We're not going to have blocks on the round, or I'm sorry, we're not going to have a full board on the round, and so the Scrappy Bomb shouldn't be getting in the way. It's a little worrisome a couple turns from now as to when, like, we're going to want a Powder Pandemonium on this upcoming turn as well. But I think it's still safe to get this additional unit, and we need to really be chunking in the damage now. Clear out whatever we can. I was going to say, I'd assume he'll want to come in and trade with the Doom Beast, but at the end of the day, if we get out of this with him just having a Leona, that would be pretty good. This is not unreasonable. I expected that he would probably have something like a Unspeakable Horror to get out of one of these combats. Ush, interesting. Ush has a lot of potential on this upcoming turn. He's going to try and get a barrier attack with Leona, or more likely an attack with Diana. And a Norra card. It's not quite what I was expecting to come in. But dude's on board, I guess. Do we ever want to just go ahead and swindle? It does let us know what opponent has in their hand right now. It's not like that plunder is a big deal at the moment. It's just got a bunch of garbage. A Dustbringer, a Soldier, and an Unto-Dusk.
Night flowers upon my blade.
All right, so how do we handle this turn? It's like just like such a bad board for me to want to get the Powder Pandemonium down. Let's start with a Touch of Cycle first, see what we pick up. Okay, we're actually almost enlightened for this guy, but we have so much burst attack now. I'm just going to drop the Eye, open attack with all this stuff that we have here. Did the Taskmaster just change our mind? We only have one attack unit on this board, or one cost unit on this board.
us down.
All right, his blocks here are gonna be reasonable enough, but I think it's just like too awkward. I think we need to try and like punch in the damage here where we can, and then probably not get an attacking Powder Pandemonium. Just play it as a means to
Glorious light rains down.
try and punch in that like 6 remaining damage after a combat.
The strong don't want mercy.
Nice to meet you. I'm Isla.
But these big damage acorns ready to go. He says, "I'm here to be your elusive friend." Nice pickup with Twisted Fate. Looks like opponent may be trying to pull off a Winding Light turn here. So if we can get a gold card to get a damage prevent, might be a necessity.
My life or theirs.
Like, I don't want to add too much to the board, but I think with the idea of us open attacking next turn, this is probably okay. Try and take down the 1. I'm going to play Twisted Fate as a blue card. See if we can't pick up a unit. And then I want to open attack next turn, punch in a couple points of damage, and then follow up with the Powder Pandemonium. Alright, well there's what's coming at you. We could have waited until next turn to play the tentacle thing, but I wanted to... I didn't want to overbank those couple points of mana.
The beast will wait.
Alright, well we're getting close.
No mercy for heretics.
One day these cards will do enough. One day. One day.
They forced us to choose death or the blade.
Alright, Taskmaster and Monkey Business, you're in. I'm going to go ahead and pokey stick down this Lunari Duskbringer. The only way we're going to lose this game is if he does something with the Winding Light, and I don't want him to come into the next turn, burst out the Dust Petal, and then play the Winding Light, and leave us in a space to where that unit is now effective. So we can go ahead and take it down. We should be getting almost there. I know we've said that half a dozen times now, but we're getting pretty close.
Feel the sun's glory.
Can't win 'em all, eh?
Alright, just gonna pass. The Powder Monkey will take him to 6. Now we can follow up with the Powder Pandemonium. That was at 6, right? Yeah, it's well above 6. Get the 6 monkeys. Shouldn't be able to do enough about this. They can play some kind of heal to maybe get out of some of the combat, but this should be enough damage to end the game. Okay. Another round of the Powder Pandemonium against the Leona Diana. Let's see how battle number 3 goes when we switch from the Twisted Fate version over to the Elise version. Okay, so I'm happy to start with these Jagged Taskmasters. We need a Plunder Activator here, which the Jagged Butcher is just not really good at it. I'm leaning towards just doing something like this, hanging onto the 2 Plunder units, and then if we pick up a Warning Shot, or if we pick up a Make It Rain or something, we're kind of off to the races in terms of these early Plunder cards. Might just need to send the Parlay to the face. We'll see what he ends up adding to the board here, but if we don't have a target, then I am okay to just send it to face. Right, we can do something like this to where We bring in the Parlay, then we could play Jagged Taskmaster, open attack next turn, and then drop the double Jagged Butcher. We can play this one a little bit slower, right? We have the two Yordle Grifters in hand. We're going to be doing some nabs and such, so... Nice one-cost card, I guess. I wonder if he ever, like, gives up on Diana, right? If we just attack with the Jagged Butcher. Well, he doesn't have to worry about it now. But... It's pretty painful. That was a pretty strong turn with the burst one-cost card. All right. Just doing all the stuff better than we're doing it. It's pretty brutal. But we'll block the Doom Beast. The Solari Soldier is going to shrink. We should have some 3/3s on board before it attacks again. Let's see what we can do. Get the big boy posse running out here. I guess if we drop all the Taskmasters, we can have some decent blockers next turn. Yeah, these draws have been insane. Literally insane. Just the Nightfall card into Diana, the perfect curve of 4 turns of 4 turns of Daybreaks into the turn 5 Leona. Fucking insane. Right, friends. Well, our 1-drops are ready if we can ever get one on board.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
I'm not greedy. My friends.
What you got for us? A Sunhawk? Not nearly as good as the Hush in the previous game. Okay, at least a unit capable of blocking an onlooker. We just need to prevent whatever damage we can here. This is, I was going to say, I'm kind of surprised to see him leave open the Guardian, but this is ultra frustrating of a set of games.
One good turn. Hey, friendo.
Okay. All right, maybe we can pick up something. We don't have a lot of great hits coming at us here, but let's see what we can do. All right, GG. That was tough. That was, I don't know. That's a really rough set of games. Like, I know that it's. I think we approached that right. It's just one of those spaces as to where, like, that the Sejuani deck is really tough, right? You can see, like, having to play against all those matches so many times, like how the Sejuani deck is just going to be extremely strong against us. We tend to get units on board in the first couple turns of the game. If we get to deal like 4 or 5 chip damage, that's pretty great. But then after that, you don't really do too much damage through your units. You might get a couple of chip damages if you have some width. You might get an attack in with like a powder monkey that your opponent just wants to avoid. But you get that early game damage in, and then the rest of it is just kind of these awkward and weird burn spells. But this deck tends to play really good against things, say, like Pirates, as to where Pirates just floods the board with a bunch of crappy dudes. You're able to get blockers out in front of them, and then they can't actually just deal damage to you through those dudes because they don't play overwhelm units. It's like even if they're attacking you with misfortunes, you still get to prevent their damage with your blocks because they aren't overwhelming anything. And so that's why we banned out the Sejuani decks, because they have the overwhelms completely across the board. But when the places when you're playing against something like Talia Ziggs, like that, those matchups were just completely insane. It's to where you typically play 2 copies of the Absolver, and then you may play 2 copies of the Magus. And so they have four copies of access to Overwhelm. And if you're getting to like turn 7, turn 8, turn 9 of the game, then it's kind of whatever. But to have access to all of it just like on point and ready on turn 6, like 2 games in a row, like fine, you did well. But then you could see how the Lesbians matchup goes as well, right? Their units are not particularly strong at combat. He's getting some kind of like overwhelming attacks into us because the Diana and the Leona are getting those just turn after turn after turn of value, but he's not really getting to deal any damage to us, right? He has to hit those winding lights to actually have it come through. And it's just like an absolute absurdity what we ran into those games, just in terms of like pure high roll quality and just having everything you need at every moment of the game. And so like that's just one of those spaces as to where like I feel like if we played that match like 100 times, I feel like we would have probably won it like 65. But having to come in and just play those 2 sets of matches back to back like that and then just get completely abused in the way that we did, that's tough. That's a rough set of games, and so I'm to the spot to where I'm done with Runeterra for the day. I'm more than happy to set the game down, turn it off, and just go watch football the rest of the day. That's one of the skills that you have to kind of pick up through time. It is okay to say as you're grinding through the ladder and trying to level up, and you go 3 and 10 on the day, and you really want to hit that next rank, but you really just don't feel like playing the game anymore. It's fine, just set it down and find something else to do. Just take a step back, take yourself a break and come back later. And that's where I'm at right now after having to play those 5 or 6 games, whatever that amounted to, having to play against the Ezreal Seraphine guy, just completely high roll across this for the entirety of the match. I'm just kind of done for the day. And so, I hope I took the brunt of that so you all don't have to go through it later. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.